And in this interview series, I'm talking about cooperatives. Cooperatives you can find all over the country. We have health care, we have child care, we have housing, we have financial services, we have food, we have all kinds of cooperatives. Greenbelt is an especially great place to look for cooperatives because we do have our co-op nursery school, we have our housing co-op, we have our credit unions, we even have a healthcare co-op, and we have the Greenbelt Consumer Cooperative, our food co-op. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the food co-op, and we have with us three special people from the co-op. We have Bob Davis, the general manager. We have Sheila Osdeck. I'm sorry, Sheila. Sheila Osdeck, who has, well, sort of everything, right? Financial, accounting, what else?
Membership, general, whatever needs to be done.
Well, that's a great position to have, I'm sure.
IT as well.
IT too. And then we also have Kim Rush Lynch, who's education and membership coordinator?
An outreach coordinator.
An outreach coordinator. So really, it's good to have the three of you here to talk about, I think, one of our most important cooperatives here in town, the Greenbelt Consumer Cooperative. Now, sometimes you go by another name, the pharmacy, Greenbelt Supermarket and Pharmacy.
Greenbelt Co-op Supermarket and Pharmacy,
Okay.
when we want to look really impressive.
When you want to look really impressive. So first of all, I'd like to just have each of you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with our great cooperative. So Bob, you want to start?
Okay, as being the oldest member here, Bob Davis, the general manager. I've been managing the Greenbelt Co-op since 1984. I got here sort of, wasn't part of the plan originally. I was managing a supermarket for a small chain that decided it was going to sell its stores. So the store that I was managing was about to be sold elsewhere. At about the same time that Jim Castles, who many of you probably know of or have heard of, came to visit me and told me about this supermarket that he was in the process of organizing a group to buy and to run, a cooperative enterprise in Greenbelt, Maryland. Even though I hadn't heard of it, wasn't quite sure how this co-op thing was going to work, I know I needed a job, and I figured, okay, well, that'll hold me over until I find what I really want to do. Well, that was in 1984. Obviously, it's 30 years later, so I'm kind of happy where I am. So that's how I got into the co-op world.
So I guess this means you found what you really wanted to do.
Evidently.
I got involved through volunteering, actually. I was on the membership committee for a little while, just helping with some of the displays and did some food demos. And Bob basically asked me if I wanted a job. He needed some help with coordinating some of the membership stuff as well, and that's how I got involved.
All right. And Sheila Osdeck.
Yes. Well, I came across it quite by accident. We're very new to the area. We're from Colorado. And I was living across the parking lot in the Park Crescent Apartments and needed to find a job and something to do. So I thought, well, I'd apply for a part-time cashier and attached my resume, and it just so happened that they needed somebody to do accounting. So Dave got my resume and saw that I did accounting, and they needed somebody at that time, so they hired me to do accounting. And it's kind of evolved since then. I got the accounting experience, then I started helping out with membership, and it's just grown from there.
All right, so that's terrific. Now, what kind of services does the cooperative provide? We hinted a little bit when we said we also are the Greenbelt Consumer Co-op Supermarket and Pharmacy, but what kind of services do you provide? What kind of things could we find if, well, I'm sure most people here in Greenbelt have been through the cooperative, but if you haven't been to the cooperative, what would you find when you walked in the door?
Well, we are a grocery store for starters, obviously. Everything that you need, your food needs, we think we can meet. We have a meat department and a produce department. We have a variety of groceries and dairy and all the kind of things that you'd find in your major supermarkets. And we have a pharmacy, a professional pharmacy, and we have a pretty extensive beer wine a department as well. So we think we have pretty much everything that you need. We can fix you no matter what's bothering you.
I know when I walked into the cooperative the first time, I was like, well, here's the lettuce over here, and here's the cereal, and there's the meat. Oh, and here is wine. Now, what else could you ask for? You know, what else could you ask for? So that's what you offer. But the cooperative that's there in that building was not the first cooperative that was in that building. There was another one there first, right? And then this is the one that took over when the Greenbelt Cooperative Inc. decided to sell off the supermarkets, right?
That's correct, back in 1984.
1984, so that was, hard to believe, 30 years ago. 30 years ago. So what do you think has been the key to the 30-year success?
Well, I think the fact that as a cooperative, we were coming in behind another cooperative. So Greenbelters knew how cooperatives worked. They knew what they were about. So we had a degree of familiarity. The fact that, I think co-op has from day one been been involved in the community. We've tried to be a part of as many things as we could be to try to help out, to try to contribute, to try to support the various activities throughout Greenbelt. The fact that we're a membership organization, so the people that actually shop there are the people that own the business. They are the owners of the enterprise. So I think that investment that they have in us, that degree of equity and ownership, I think that adds kind of an element that the Giants, the Safeways, the Wegmans of the world really can't duplicate. We've tried to be responsive. Nice thing about being a single store independent, we can focus our business, our variety, what we do on the customers that we have. We don't have to worry about what's happening in Baltimore or DC or whatever. We can focus on Greenbelt's customers.
So if someone has a specific request, then you would look into it and see if you might be able to get that product for that person, and hopefully it would sell, and then you keep it on.
That's been our operation pretty much from the beginning. If we can fit it in, we'll bring it in.
And it's I guess in supermarket standard, it's a fairly small floor space, yet you seem to have just about everything in there.
We deal out of about 18,000 square foot total. The last time I checked, I think Safeway was about 68,000 square foot, so just as a comparative size. We are small by those standards, but as you say, we try to squeeze as much as we can into our very limited space.
I'm still finding things that I didn't know we carried because we are able to pack so many things in.
I'll tell you, one time I decided, I like to cook, so I'm always trying different recipes, and one time I decided I was going to make some kind of Mexican, I don't know what it was, but I needed masa harina. I looked all over and I couldn't find it. And then I came to the co-op and there it was. So I wasted my time going all over the neighborhood, looking at other supermarkets, even specialty stores, and here it was, right here. So I should have started here. I should have started here. You do have some special programs that, I've seem to see more of them in the last few years, some food demonstrations and wine tastings. What are those all about? I think, are you the one, Kim, who handles those?
Yes. So we decided we need to do a little bit more outreach and education to the community, or we would like to, and particularly in supporting the health of the community. So we started doing some food demos, so people could take the raw product and figure out how to make something fairly simply, and also have samples. There are a lot of things that we will sample that people had no idea that they liked, whatever it is. For example, last week we did a cucumber cantaloupe smoothie, and people did not realize that they would even like cucumber and cantaloupe together. And we had some cucumber haters that actually enjoyed the smoothie. So it's just about introducing people to new things so that they can try and incorporate them into their menu plans. We do those once a month from 5 to 7 p.m. And then we also have another different food demo that one is the Healthy Happy Hour that I just referred to, and then we have another one called Seasonal and Savory, and that has a wine tasting component. So we have a dish or two that we create that's, again, using raw materials from the co-op. And then John Mealy, who's our wine consultant, will either bring in a local winery to do a sampling, or he will take care of the sampling himself. And that, again, is the last Wednesday of the month, usually from 5 to 7 p.m. during our Patron Appreciation Day, which has been, how long has Patron Appreciation Day been going on?
No, it's since the beginning, actually, since 1984, so it's 30 years.
And that's a nice offering because folks get to save 5% on all their purchases, and usually there's a double bonus for the wine drinkers because there's $1 off the tasting wines plus the 5%, so we like to promote that. And then, as I mentioned, we have other wine tastings throughout the month. Usually they're on Fridays from 4 to 7, and I just usually refer people to the website, and we always keep that up to date with the latest tastings. And one other one I almost forgot is a program called Healthy Horizons, which is a workshop that we have quarterly, 7 o'clock generally, and it takes place over at the Greenbelt Youth Center. And that's where we're able to get a little bit more in depth into some nutrition or health topic. And again, we have some sort of sampling that goes along with that, with a demonstration.
And so you might have your cucumber cantaloupe savory, and someone would try it and they decide they like it. It's almost like and you're taking a young child and say, just try it, you'll like it.
Exactly what it is.
And not only just trying it, but she provides the recipes and the how-to with the items as well.
Okay. So, Sheila, since you, I think, are in charge of membership, how many members does the cooperative have? Do you know about how many?
Right now, about 9,800.
Wow, 9,800. And there are different categories of membership, I think, the voting and the non-voting. What's the difference there?
Well, for $10, you can become a member, and you have full rights and privileges to the store, and you can shop at the co-op even if you don't have a membership. And then at the $100 level, you become a voting member. And so when we have our annual meetings, if we have an election on something, you are allowed to vote then. And then at the $200 level, then you can start earning our other benefits such as interest, and then all members earn a patronage refund if we offer one at the end of the year. So there are good benefits with becoming a member.
Mm-hmm. So good benefits with becoming a member. You can potentially have this patronage refund, and you also have some benefits or responsibilities. Thinking how you consider it to serve on the board, is that a benefit or a responsibility? I guess you'd have to ask a board member how they felt about that. But that is one of your opportunities, isn't it, that you could serve on the board? Mm-hmm. The board of directors, how many members is it?
7 members, all volunteers.
All volunteers.
Unpaid.
Unpaid.
Obviously, they come from the community, come from the membership. So they meet monthly at a minimum, and obviously participate in the annual meeting at the end of the year. I'm going to switch gears for just a minute. One of the things I neglected to specifically point out, and we've touched upon it, that patronage refund thing. One of the things I neglected to say and should point out is in that 30 years that we have paid well over $1 million in patronage refunds back to the members. In essence, they're refunds based on the amount that they purchase through the course of the year. So we're a store that gives back.
You do. You do give back, not only in supporting the community. I think sometimes you'll have sponsorship of, I think the Miss Greenbelt or, and other sponsorships, but you can say you have a very tangible financial reward back in patronage refund. Now, they're not automatically going to get that. How do you determine, how does the store determine whether you're going to give a patronage refund?
Patronage refunds are, first of all, are predicated on the profitability of the store. If the store makes a profit, then the board determines if there's going to be a patronage refund and what size that patronage refund is going to be. If there are no profits at the end of the year, at the end of our fiscal year, there are no patronage refunds. And I think in our 30 years, there were 2 years where the co-op lost money at the end of the year, and no patronage refunds were paid. In the other 28 years, patronage refunds were paid every year. And as an average, the board has distributed roughly half of the store's profits at the end of the year to a patronage refund. Those patronage refunds have been as large as almost $200,000 in a given year. They have been, I think, as low as $9,000 in a given year, and that's the total distribution. Obviously, you're dividing 200,000 by 9,800. It's a bigger number than if you're dividing, 9,800 into 9,000. So it's certainly not a guaranteed income, but it's something that we pay back whenever we have the opportunity.
I find it's usually about enough for 1 week's groceries, so, yeah,
Well, and it's determined by how much you spend in the store as an
True.
individual or family.
right, so, the more you spend,
The more you
you'll
can get back.
Because it's a percentage of what you've spent.
Right.
So essentially, it's your usage of the cooperative that's going to determine what you get back.
That's right.
And as an owner, if the business isn't doing well, then that's quite appropriate that you don't get patronage that year, those couple of years that you didn't get it. Now, it's the board of directors that usually decides on how to distribute that.
That is one of their responsibilities.
That's one of their responsibilities. What else does the board do?
Well, actually, the board sort of sets general direction for me. I'm the one who reports directly to the board of directors. I communicate to them how the store is doing, what it's doing, special programs, new programs, issues, concerns, those sorts of things. They take that in and then give me a general direction as to any changes or improvements or issues that they feel that the board needs to address or that I should address. So their responsibilities are large, but by and large, they entrust the operational, day-to-day operation to me.
And that's, I think, the way that most co-op businesses work. They are democratically controlled organizations. The members elect the board to set up the policies, but the board doesn't necessarily, being volunteers, they don't necessarily know the grocery business or whatever business it is, so they hire a professional manager to carry that out. So that's what we're doing here with our Greenbelt supermarket and pharmacy, following that traditional way of running a cooperative business. So as far as the co-op goes these days, what are your challenges? Any particular challenges you have?
I can't say I guess there are always new challenges, but the biggest ones are the ones that are always there, which competition. We are, as we talked about, we're a food store, a pharmacy, beer, wine. We do all of those things, but of course, lots of other people do that very same thing here in Greenbelt. So the more competitors we have, the more challenging it is, because obviously we have that piece of the Greenbelt pie that's being carved up is being carved up by more and more competitors. So the fact that there is always a growing number of competitors who are trying to be as aggressive as they can in terms of attracting new business, that is an ongoing challenge. Trying to attract new members, trying to attract new customers, that's a challenge that kind of goes back to the competition thing we talked about too. And trying to educate people about what a cooperative is, what their benefits are, what their responsibilities are. A cooperative has sort of a unique responsibility there in terms of educating folks what a co-op is, because we are different than most other businesses out there. So ongoing education is a challenge.
Sheila, do you think that many of the people who shop in the co-op, do they actually realize that they own that store?
I don't think most people do realize that. They don't realize that they are an intricate part of how the co-op system works, because without our members, we cease to exist. And a lot of members that I've talked to who have been members for quite some time don't understand the benefits of being in our particular co-op. So as we have meetings and we send out mailings and things, we try to get that information across. We try to post on the bulletin board what that membership includes, so people are aware. And I think one of the biggest things people aren't aware of is that money that you pay, that $10 that's in your account, that's always your money. It's not like other places where you join a membership, you don't get that money back, but that's always your money. So even though you've invested in the co-op, if you for some reason would leave the area, most people don't know that they can get that money back.
Right, they can get that money, and it's a one-time membership. It's
Right,
not
it's
like
lifetime.
Right, it's
Yeah.
not an annual thing. It's a one-time and you're a member for life.
And when you join for $10, you can increase your membership account. For instance, if you got your patronage refund, couldn't you put that into your membership account so you would get up to $100?
Right, you could use that to fund your membership account to get that up to the $100 member level, or up to the $200 level, and then anything over that you start earning interest on at the amount set by the board.
Right. So people don't realize that, and I guess that's one of the things we hope to accomplish with these interviews is to help people understand what they do belong to, what they own, essentially. And as an owner, what kind of responsibilities do you have to your co-op?
Well, I think what I've seen from my experience with co-op, which is very limited because we just moved into the area not too long ago, is this co-op, by supporting it, by shopping at it, it keeps us strong. And by having a strong store, we're able to do more things for the community.
So support it, use it, shop at it. Then if you want to, run for the board. And you have an annual meeting coming up, don't you?
We sure do. On November 8th, we're having our annual membership meeting, and we may have a little bit of a 30th anniversary birthday celebration as well.
Good.
And that's also a time when we actually we present the Jim Castles Award winner. So one of the things that the co-op does every year is they support one Greenbelt organization with a $1,200 grant to conduct some sort of activity that benefits the Greenbelt community. So we'll be announcing that winner for 2014 to do a project in 2015 at the membership meeting.
Well, that'll be great. That'll be good to hear that. So it's really wonderful to talk to one of our old, established, successful cooperatives and to hear more about what you're doing. Now, if people wanted to find out more about joining the co-op or what are your activities, how would they do that?
The best thing to do is to go to our website, which is www.greenbelt.coop. And also we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we're also on Pinterest, lots of recipes there, so that's another way to connect with us. So please like us, follow us, and visit our website. And I wanted to mention one other thing is we have Member Appreciation Awards happening. So when you get your receipt at the co-op, if you look at the very bottom, there's an entry form. And each time you shop, if you drop that entry form into a red box that's located near the customer service office, you'll have the opportunity to win a gift card. So we're going to have a monthly drawing for that.
I did not know that. Well, this has been very informative. So thank you, Bob and Kim and Sheila. Been great talking with you, and we'll see you at the store.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity.